Let me start off with an honest question. If marriage is supposed to benefit both men and women, then why are more and more men choosing to opt out of marriage completely? Because something has clearly changed. Men didn't just randomly wake up one day and decide marriage was a bad idea. Something in the culture shifted. So today, we're going to pick apart the institution of marriage, the same way that single mom you met on Tinder picks you apart on your first date, with an extensive list of 80 prerequisites and non-negotiables in hand. Income requirements, height requirements, star signs and all. Honestly, at this point, dating feels more like applying for a job at NASA, but with a million other space cadets in line, all competing to pilot the same SS dumpster fire called marriage. And when you finally get the gig, you think you're ready, only to soon discover the SS marriage has a little problem. Today, we're going to break down exactly what happened to marriage, from divorce law to dating apps to all the modern day relationship expectations that are making a lot of guys say, "Yeah, I'm good." So buckle up, space cadets, and set your lasers from stun to lethal, and let's light this popsicle stand. Hi, my name is Batman. Welcome to the channel. If this topic interests you at all, leave a like. And hey, who knows? Maybe with years of hard work and dedication, I'll make a small YouTube fortune. Then I'll have something to give to my future ex-wife when she ultimately divorces me.
Why would your wife divorce you, you might ask?
Who knows? Could be because I folded the bathroom towels wrong, or that I frequently scream her sister's full name every time I climax. It's anyone's guess. Anyways, let's get into it. Alright, stick with me on this one. I swear it's going to make sense. The other day, I was making coffee and I had a thought. If you pour hot coffee into a mug and let it sit too long, it becomes cold and gross. And in an opposite sense, if you have an iced coffee and you let it sit too long, it becomes warm and gross. So what coffee teaches us is nothing good lasts forever, which is exactly why I will never get married. At this point, marriage can only ever turn to divorce. And just like that cold coffee, once you get served those divorce papers, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. These days, marriage vows mean almost nothing. Weddings have become more of an expensive performance than a wholesome ceremony. I feel like most men get married because they think that's just what they're supposed to do, while overlooking all the financial and psychological landmines being laid around them. Back in the day, marriage used to be different. It used to mean something. People took their marriage vows seriously. They said, in sickness and in health, until death does us part. But today, it feels more like, in sickness and in health, until divorce does us part, I now pronounce you man and future ex-wife. You may now kiss the whole. When you look at divorce rates and family court outcomes, you start to understand why a lot of men are piecing out. Women are very quick to call any man a misogynist who's even a little bit hesitant about marriage. Like, sure, women can be a pain in the ass, but it's really the institution of marriage that ruins a man's life. Of course, not every woman is bad, but the point is, whether or not the woman is good or bad, marriage still gives all women the ammunition they need to destroy their man's life the second their mood changes. You know the saying, happy wife, happy life? Well, we have that expression for a reason. Because if your wife ain't happy, she could turn your life upside down. Let's call it what it is. It's emotional abuse. Do what I want or I'll ruin you. That power dynamic is baked into the very fabric of marriage, and women know it. That's why men are starting to shift from happy wife, happy life to no wife, happy life.
Also, men are trying to avoid starring in some woman's divorce TikTok series, trying to spare ourselves a little pain and humiliation.
For a lot of men, marriage doesn't look like romance anymore. It looks more like risk. Marriage is like a safety net for women, and more like a house fire for men. You just hope you get out alive with something. When you get married, you're signing a legal contract that could cost you half your assets and your livelihood if anything goes wrong. And sure, a woman could make more than her husband, but it's more common for women to date a man who's more better off financially than herself. That's why this problem asymmetrically affects men versus women overall. Unless there's any beautiful, filthy, rich woman out there that wants to save my dusty ass and prove me wrong,
Sydney Sweeney, hit me up, girl. I'll repent for you, baby.
most men have seen someone close to them go through divorce. A dad, an uncle, a friend, a brother, Someone who got absolutely wrecked financially and had their lives turned upside down.
I am never going to financially recover from this.
So naturally, guys start asking themselves, why would I sign up for that? Another big factor is, of course, social media. TikTok, Instagram, dating apps. They create unrealistic expectations about relationships. Women are constantly comparing their real-life partners to some curated online fantasy. They're constantly getting messaging like, does he split the bill? He's broke. Boom, divorce. Does he pay for everything? He's controlling. Boom, divorce. Does he work too much? He's neglectful. Boom, divorce. Does he not work enough? He's a bum. Boom, divorce.
Know your worth, queen.
This is what I like to call TikTok brain. It's a condition that is characterized by a woman having outrageous expectations, a horrible personality, crazy entitlement, and always thinking they're one swipe away from a billionaire soulmate.
Like, for real though, don't ever date a woman with TikTok brain. Like, trust me, man, it ain't worth it.
Social media plays on women's emotions like a violin. The older you get as a man, you start to realize women aren't exactly the masters of their emotions. They're more like slaves to their emotions. Again, not all women. It's on a spectrum.
Like autism.
Many girls today are raised on a steady diet of man-bashing TikTok reels and radical feminist messaging. And like those type of women don't exactly make great life partners for men. So this raises a real question for women. Why would men want to marry or commit to someone who seemingly has nothing but disdain, resentment, and apathy towards them? Expecting a man to date a feminist is like expecting an African American to date a member of the KKK. It doesn't really make any sense. And sure, you can say, but Batman, not all feminists hate men, and that might be true. The problem is the loudest and most frequent voices on the internet keep reinforcing the idea that feminists just hate men. Where are all these good feminists pushing back on the man hate? Like when radical feminists spread man-hating rhetoric like man-spreading, mansplaining, or man-living. They're nowhere to be found. So you can understand how this would paint all feminists as bad in men's eyes. And you could say that's not fair, but it's just the reality of things. And so, as men being the logical creatures we are, we observe this phenomenon and come to the logical conclusion that yes, it's probably best to avoid marrying feminists. This is usually the part of the video where people start accusing me of hating women. And like, of course I hate some women, like Michelle Obama or Ellen DeGeneres. But not all women. Deep down, I know not every woman grows out her armpit hair and shaves her head Britney Spears style. Some just wait until after the wedding. If a man chooses to date, or God forbid marry a feminist, he can expect a few things. For starters, he'll constantly be lectured about his supposed male privilege, and every disagreement will somehow turn into a political debate about the patriarchy. And he'll constantly be subjected to all types of purity tests to prove whether or not he's that nasty, evil man feminism warned her about her whole life. As you can imagine, this isn't exactly the foundation of a healthy relationship. Men simply don't want to live like that. We don't want to be lectured all the time like we're children. Today, women are financially incentivized to end marriages and break up families. Divorce laws often create situations where ending the marriage financially benefits one partner far more than the other. And since women tend to shack up with men who earn more than them, you can see why men feel like the courts are stacked against them. And to build on that, if men believe the system is stacked against them, they stop participating in the system. It's like a casino where everyone keeps seeing players lose money. Eventually, people stop walking in the door. Not to mention, women are more often awarded full custody of the children. You could be the best dad in the world, but if your wife has a vagina, which they most often do, they'll be awarded full custody of your children. Doesn't matter how many personality disorders or drug addiction she has.
This.
The sad reality for men is, once you get divorced, you lose your kids, wife, and home. Then you have to pay your ex-wife to live in your house while she gets her back blown out by her new situationship. You'll be more cucked than Will Smith. You spend your whole life working, supporting, and loving a woman. Then one day, she watches one too many TikToks. And then she says to herself, I'm not happy anymore. Files for divorce and demands all your money.
Give it to me.
women gotta ask themselves, is it fair for a woman to expect their husband to financially sponsor their lives after she divorces him? If yes, then wouldn't it be fair for a man to expect physical intimacy from his ex-wife after he divorces her? Of course not. Unfortunately, empathy only really seems to go in one direction in the world. Many women today see marriage as a get-rich-quick scam, and men are just avoiding it now. A lot of women today seem incredibly entitled, and the tricky part is, it's hard to tell apart the entitled ones from the normal ones. Luckily, some genius guy came up with this thing called the coffee test. Here's how it works. You go to a coffee shop, order your drinks, and when it comes time to pay, you say, "Oh no, I forgot my wallet." Then you just observe her reaction, because how she reacts to a $5 cup of coffee tells you a lot. If she loses her mind, you can assume she's going to lose her mind over everything else too. Dating apps are the worst. That being said, I think the only solution is to try to accelerate the destruction of dating apps as a whole. If you do as I do in my next example, we as men might be able to take down dating apps for once. This is what I do. I'll match with a girl on a dating app, then I'll plan a really nice date at a really classy restaurant, where you gotta dress up and stuff. And I'll say, let's meet at 6 p.m. And I'll build up anticipation up to the date. I'll text her here and there and stuff. And my favorite thing to do in the world is just wait until 5:30 p.m. the day of the date. And then just cancel. It's hilarious.
Come on!
And boy, let me tell you, that shit really makes women crash out. Because by then, she already tried on a million outfits, caked on a bunch of makeup, and talked about me to all her friends.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
And of course, she's gonna be like, what the fuck? She'll be coming at me, and I'll be like, yo, I'm sorry. I cranked my shit. Now I don't want to go anymore. She'll be like, what? And I'll be like,
I done cranked my shit. Now I no longer want to go on a date with you.
and hopefully, if we as men stick to this strategy over time, women will just full sail abandon dating apps. And then we can get back to a sense of normalcy. Another thing that changed is dating expectations. A lot of men feel like relationships today come with endless demands. You gotta be emotionally open, but not too emotional. You gotta be confident, but not too arrogant. Be attentive and present, but not too clingy. Be ambitious and driven, but also somehow have unlimited free time. And if you don't check every box, someone online is ready to tell her she deserves better. As a man, if you don't check all her boxes, your wife will inevitably treat you like a beta. Beta! And if that's the case, you beta watch out, because your relationship is running on borrowed time. Because TikTok will start validating all her outlandish expectations. Next thing you'll know, she'll be going on a girl's trip to Miami, talking about needing to quote unquote find herself. But the only thing she's going to find is clavicular, clapping her cheeks on his personal yacht. The older you get as a man, you start to realize that women can never really truly be happy. So honestly, don't worry about it. A woman's happiness is not your responsibility. Too often, women expect a man to be the solution to all their problems in life and the source of all their inner happiness. They project the responsibility of their own unhappiness onto men. But happiness is something you give yourself. Women usually learn this lesson after they set their husband's life on fire. Also, there's a saying that goes, women don't grow up, they grow old. Since women are more emotional in nature compared to men, one could argue women are more child-coded than men. And that's why women expect men to take care of them so much. Try chewing on that for a bit. Dating apps created the illusion of endless choice. If something goes wrong in a relationship, there's always the thought that someone better might be one swipe away. And when people feel like better options are always available, commitment becomes harder and harder to come by. A lot of women say there's a commitment problem with men when it comes to marriage. But in reality, I think it's more of a marriage compatibility issue when it comes to women. You gotta ask yourself, who files for divorce more? And get a load of this. Statistically, gay men have the lowest rates of divorce and domestic abuse, and straight couples fall somewhere in the middle. And once you know it, lesbians have the highest rates of divorce and domestic abuse. of them all! Now that's what I'd like to call a red herring. The sad reality is, modern women just aren't compatible with long-term relationships anymore. So my advice to men today is, just date women. Don't marry them. There's no reason to welcome any unnecessary risk into your life. Plus, it'll keep women on their best behavior. When I was a kid, I used to work at a car wash. There was this old man who used to come in all the time. And every time I dried his car off, he'd say to me, "Listen, boy, don't you ever get married now, boy!" And I was like, "I promise, Dad." In China, they're having very similar marriage problems. One time, I heard this Chinese guy on YouTube say, marriage only exists as a way for the state to shift financial responsibility onto the man when the woman inevitably files for divorce. And like, dude, what's with Chinese people being so unbelievably based? Like, it's actually insane. Just think about it. If the state had to pay for all these divorces, then well, shit. The whole country would collapse in on itself. Because if there's one thing women like more than killing babies, it's filing for divorce. I'm sure that joke will land. Women can take a joke after all. Nowadays, marriage is seen as a cocoon stage. Just wait long enough, and eventually, it transforms into the beautiful butterfly known as divorce. Except, it's not exactly the cute butterfly you're picturing in your head. At the end of the day, the real issue isn't that men suddenly hate marriage. The issue is that a lot of men don't see the benefit anymore. And if you want people to participate in something, both sides have to feel like the deal is fair. Right now, a lot of guys don't feel that way. And until that changes, more and more men are going to glance through the terms and conditions of the marriage contract and say,
Nah, I'm good.
anyway, that's all I got, gang. Just remember what they did to Will Smith the next time you start thinking about getting married. And hey, there's an old saying that goes, if you hate money and sex, get married. I'll see you in the next one, guys. Peace out!